With the European football season over, it gives us Football Manager players opportunities to rebuild new clubs and gives us ideas for new saves that we might not have had before. Today we're going to be focusing on some teams who performed particularly poorly in the 2021-2022 season and giving you guys some ideas of what your next save might be in FM22. So with that being said, let's run the intro and get right into it. Welcome everyone, I'm Jake for FMSCOUT and this video is pretty simple. It should be quite a quick one. I'm just going to go through a few save ideas that have cropped up because of how things have gone in the 2021-2022 season. If you enjoy it, like the video, don't forget to comment what team you're looking forward to managing next down below, and let's get into team number one. So we start off with Bordeaux, who were predicted to finish 8th by the media in Football Manager at least in Ligue 1 and definitely weren't considered a team that would get relegated, but they finished in the bottom. They got relegated. I think they were actually 20th place and they'll be playing football in the second division of France next year. Now, whether you just want to take over Bordeaux in your first season and try and do better than that, or whether you want to get an updated database and try and get them promoted from League 2, I think this would be a pretty fun save idea. They're a team that has plenty of glory in Ligue 1, even recently winning it in 2009 and being runners-up all around that early 2000 period. They were actually runners-up in a European competition final back in 1996, so it's crazy to think they have been relegated only 10 years later, but this kind of thing does happen in football all of the time. But the strange thing is they actually have a pretty decent squad. We've got players like Anel Ahmedhodzic, if you've been playing Football Manager in recent years. They've got Timothy Pembele on loan from PSG, Gilavogi came in on loan, and then players that are actually at the club. I remember Nyang from a few years ago. Yassine Adli's here on loan as well. There's plenty of talent in this squad, so it's quite surprising, at least in my eyes, that they've been relegated. Maybe if you watch French football more than I do, it might make more sense, but I would have never have picked them as a team to go down. And I spoke about these guys before, but whilst we're on the topic of teams who could be fun to manage, Saint Etienne is always great fun. They very nearly got relegated this year. They could have joined Bordeaux, but they didn't, and this is a club with plenty of calibre in the French divisions. I mean, look at that, 10 Ligue 1 wins. A quick thing to note about Saint Etienne, I've actually just checked and I don't think they're officially stayed up yet. By the looks of it, at the time of recording, they're in some kind of playoff final against Auxerre, I don't know how you pronounce that, but they could potentially go down if they don't win their final playoff match to stay up in Ligue 1. So keep an eye on that. They could be a very fun club to rebuild if they do get relegated into the second division of France. And bear with me a few seconds before we get into the next team. I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at SPITCH. If you don't already know, if you haven't heard me talking about it, SPITCH is a fantasy football app that focuses on weekly individual tournaments as opposed to your season length normal fantasy football style game. There's both free and paid for competitions that have their own unique rewards to be won. If you want to get involved, if you fancy yourself as a good fantasy football player, just check out the link in the description, go through, download it, we'd greatly appreciate it. Then once you've registered, you can pick your team as you're seeing me doing on screen right now, select your captain and use the great statistical analysis features in SPITCH to pick the best side possible, and that is that with SPITCH. So thank you for sponsoring, and back to team number 3. Now this is another weird one that you wouldn't have expected. Hertha Berlin have only just stayed up in the Bundesliga this season. I've been told that there's actually quite a lot of issues going on at the club, and that might be why they keep getting dragged into these battles. And actually, if you play Football Manager, considering all the players that they tend to sign and the money that they have, they never tend to do that well. You'll usually get a fair bit of money to spend with Hertha as well, and your job won't just be to avoid relegation, but take them to the heights in the Bundesliga. Take a team from the capital in Berlin to the top. They won it back in the 1930s, but nothing since then. They've got a squad filled with some decent talent. You're not going to set the league alight straight away, but there's definitely some good players in there. We've got Boyata, Bjorkan, Toussaint, amongst many others. There's some great players in this squad, and they really should be doing a lot better. So take a look at them. If you want to give the Bundesliga a go, I recommend it. Check out Hertha Berlin. Now, when it came to save ideas this year, everybody spoke about Derby, and rightly so. They were definitely a challenge to keep up with their great points deduction. However, Wayne Rooney and the gang gave it a decent job, but they still ended up getting relegated, and they will be in League 1 next season. Now, it's not even like they've got the squad that you'd think, right, they're guaranteed to go up. It might be quite hard for them down there, and who knows, you might get stuck there for a few years if things don't go too well, and they're definitely not fixed from their financial issues just yet. It's going to take some time to recover them, them. So I think what would be a great idea is to get yourself an updated database. If you search for it online, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Then try and take Derby from League One back to the Premier League and hopefully do better than that Premier League season they had a few years ago. I think they've got the worst points tally in the Premier League ever. I could be wrong, but they got relegated in 20th place and were absolutely shocking. I remember being very young and thinking even then this team looked really bad. But yeah, try and take them to the Premier League, maybe even try and win it. As a side note, it looks like Nottingham Forest have a big chance of getting back into the Premier League. They're in the playoff final. If they do, everyone's favourite rebuild club is going to be gone from the Championship. And I think Derby in League One is going to be a lot of people's favourite team to manage next year. And now for the team that finished rock bottom out in Scotland this year, it is Dundee United, who will be relegated to Scotland's second division. Just as a side note, I haven't said it yet, but if you want to watch me play Football Manager in a more Let's Play style, then you can find my channel linked in the description, where we have a save going on with Villarreal, as well as a bunch of other series, some one-off rebuild videos with another one on the way doing Todd Bowley's takeover of Chelsea, which I'm very excited about. If you don't want to miss that, or you just want to be an absolutely awesome person, you can find it linked in the description. Hit the subscribe button, I'd greatly appreciate it. But yeah, let's get back to the video. Looking at the history of Scottish football, it was only in 2009, just over a decade or so ago, when Dundee came third in the league. They were actually runners-up in a European competition in 1987, and whilst things haven't gone too well in recent years, I still think they'd be a very fun club to manage. Maybe you can add another Scottish Premier League title under their belt and maybe go one further and win a European final. I'm sure the city of Dundee would be very happy with that. But now let's move on to our final team of the video. And the final team we're looking at in this video is Parma. Now, you might have heard them in these videos quite often, but Parma in this season have been a very interesting case. They brought Buffon back to the club and they looked like likely contenders to potentially go up in Serie B, but it ended up being a mid-table finish and they'll be stuck there for another season, and who knows if they might be there for season upon season upon season now, much like they were before after they got relegated from Serie A. Will they ever be able to make it back to the big time, get involved with not just a Serie A title, but they of course won a bunch of European trophies as well. If you can get them that far, I think you'll be doing a very good job. They're a team that I've been considering managing, even if I can't wear a cap at the same level of this manager of Parma, but who knows, I think I could do a decent job. But I think they would make a great team to manage. So there we go guys, that's my list of potential save ideas after the 2021-2022 season in FM22. Like I say, if you look around you should be able to find an updated database around, and if not, if you just want to use a standard database, it would still be great fun to take over these clubs no matter what situation they're in. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to like the video and let me know who you'll be managing next in the comments down below. Subscribe for more, check out my channel linked in the description. Thank you SPITCH for sponsoring the video. Have a great day and I'll see you next time guys. Goodbye.